Dear extended family, we know we've been exceptionally distant and it's probably been hard and confusing, but let's face it, growing up in a framework in which you falsely believe your thoughts and feelings are just as sinful as your actions, and in which you falsely believe that avoiding the appearance of evil is synonymous with avoiding the appearance of any potential sinfulness, including thoughts and feelings, none of that is conducive to emotionally open communication. So we don't have ingrained habits of being super open with each other emotionally. We play the social games in which everyone is just a little bit fake and distant with each other. And so waking up to this groupthink of covert hypocrisy is really difficult. Because as you begin to read between the lines and sift through the lies that you didn't realize were there, there's a lot of subtle things that are harmful. But you can't actually trust yourself to correctly identify it in real time in person, let alone protect your children from it, because you have never actually learned to function as a coherent adult because you've always abdicated your own authority to some middle manager over you. And so until one is capable of having a functional internal boundary that they can apply socially, you either need to have some sort of external boundary against what is harming you, or allow yourself to continue to be harmed while you're attempting to heal for the sake of social approval. And I hope we can all agree that this isn't actually an acceptable option. And so we find ourselves in this predicament where we want to have this relationship and we feel like we have a moral duty to have this relationship, but it's also a huge source of stress and conflict and pain. And I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm not saying it's anyone's fault. You tried to do your best to raise us in goodness as best you knew. We should be able to be functional adults with healthy internal boundaries and good enough social skills to deflect or correct potentially harmful teachings our children are exposed to, but we're just not there yet. We have a lot of growing and healing to do. And so, faced with nothing but what seems like unsatisfactory options, we've had this massive dilemma about the best way to handle our moral duty to you going forward. As a quick aside, when I say moral duty, I'm not referring to honor your father and mother, because when you actually look into what that means in its original context, it's really very clearly referring to actively caring and providing for your parents in their old feeble years the way they did for you as a child. It's nothing to do with obeying them or pleasing them or having the right attitude or showing them a particular level of respect or not being an embarrassment to them. It's a duty to provide for them that their days may be longer in the land. Jesus specifically called out the Pharisees for essentially creating the first old age homes and pension schemes in which, for the price of a fat donation called korban, they would care for your age-stricken parents for you for the rest of their lives, which, away from their families, was not nearly so long and much lonelier, and thus violating the core principle inherent in the commandment in the first place. So, no, the moral duty that we feel, I would say, falls more under the framework Jesus provided in every good thing someone does unto you, do ye so unto them, or paying kindness for kindness and goodness for goodness. And so after a lot of deliberation, the only path forward that allows us to continue to have the space we need to grow and heal and mature into healthy functioning adults, and also fulfill the moral obligations that we have to pay all your intended kindness and goodness and provision and care growing up and even as adults, in any remotely acceptable way, is for us to actually alter our previous standard of not putting our children's faces on the internet and to make weekly family videos or vlogs so that you might feel included in our lives, or that we're included in your lives. Now, so that's what we're going to do. Now, to be very clear, even though these videos will be public on YouTube, you are not to share any of our videos publicly on Facebook with any reference to our relationship. We will not be using our legal names. Any accidental slips we make will be edited out of the videos. Any comments attempting to name us by our legal names will be deleted. It's important that you respect that. We'll be using our stage names or pen names. I am Adam, my wife is Belle. We are the Omegas. That is the name of our band, duo, family, whatever. We'll also be posting music and other promotional stuff there. For instance, I have several books I'm working on, children's books on Jesus' teachings, dumbing down what he's actually saying so that a 5-year-old can understand it. A book on biblical sexuality, a book on how the Abrahamic Torah faith, Christianity, Buddhism, and Islam all used to be the exact same biblical and Quranic religion, and all have been corrupted by the Talmudists, Jesuits, and Luciferians. We're also finishing off... Come on. We're also... Hey. We're also finishing off writing a Christian worship album about Faith Crisis. Because so much of the music that we grew up with is now tainted and internally painful, we're not whinging about it. We're doing something about it ourselves and writing our own music for our family and anyone else who it resonates with. So there will be a lot of music on this channel as well. So to be really clear, this isn't how it's going to be forever. This is what our family, particularly Belle and myself, needs for now. Whether it takes a few months or a few years, I can't make any promises when we'll be all good and in a place to exercise internal boundaries. But weekly vlogs or videos of what we're up to will emotionally give you way more connection than you've had with us for a while now. I hope you can appreciate the level of effort and sacrifice that we're going to put into this so that you can feel included in our lives and get to know us better where we're at. So now that hopefully we're on the same page, we want you to meet the newest Omega, Melody Rose.
Let's hope this works. Day 3 of having Melody. Hi, Luna. Father has blessed me so much. I feel really good outside. I don't know if you can see that. It's so beautiful. Daddy let us sleep in to 9:30. And little baby is doing so well.
It's the Melody.
I feel so good. How do you feel?
I feel like being the Pole Christ.
Okay. We're very blessed. Oh, I feel like I should share a bit of the birth story.
What do you mean birth?
Well, she's 8 pounds 13 ounces, and I gave birth to her on the 23rd of April, and it was 7 hours, and it was a very humbling experience and quite difficult for some reason, and I feel like God made it that way to make it feel exceedingly humbling, because she is so little.
Mom, is
And
that
I'm
like
used to 10-pound, 11-pound babies.
Mommy, is
Yeah.
that like that for when you need to go where you can take her pad off and put it in there?
Yes.
Why do you keep doing that?
And I feel like I knew her in another life, and there were hard experiences there, and that's why it needed to be a hard trial now and have her. And I'm just,
That's why you thought her head, like how little her head is, but it was bigger
it
than
felt,
it really
her,
is.
yes, her head felt like it was, felt like I dilated quite wide. I broke my own water sac for her. I felt like I had a cervical lip. I felt like I was in transition for a while because of the cervical lip, and
The recording cut off there because the storage was full, but that's our little Melody Rose. Some of you may know we were originally going to call her Melody Joy, but after our miscarriage early 2021, whom we were calling Melody Joy, it didn't ever fully feel right to use the exact same name again like that. So we went with Melody Rose, but if Melody had turned out to be triplets, we were going to use Melody, Harmony, and Joy. So that's probably going to be the first name we use at some point, and a first name that we use some point in the future. But Belle was an absolute champion through the whole labor. For being the smallest baby we've had since Aura, it was a pretty intense labor. 7.5 hours long, which is also the longest since Aura, which is weird since they were both the smallest. And it started around sunset the night before. So it was all through the night when she would have been sleeping. And of course, I'm right there with her every 5 minutes, holding my hands as firmly as I can so she can lean like half or more of her body weight on them while she's going through a contraction. And I think because it was also a repetitive strain on me throughout the whole experience, I had a deeper, more experiential level of respect for what she was going through. And it was probably only a fraction of what she went through, but I think, I imagine you can only really compare it to, like, you have your regular long day of whatever you do, and then at your regular bedtime you begin to run a marathon. Only every 5 minutes you stop so someone can punch you in the gut. And the punching isn't going to stop until you've run the whole marathon, but it makes the whole process, as tired as you already are, several levels more painful and difficult. Or to put it another way for my brothers, you have your ordinary day, and then once it's your bedtime, you start a 7.5 hour workout in which every 5 minutes you do 5 push-ups and plank for 30 seconds. So you might feel like you're doing pretty well for an hour or two, but 5 hours in, you're hurting everywhere, and you're going to need a week to recover, and you want to cry because you feel beyond done, but you're barely past halfway. And if I wanted to have better empathy for what my wife goes through in bearing my huge children, that's what I would do. And that this is not me saying, oh, women are amazing, women can do things men could never do, they're so much better than men. No, I don't believe that. That's actually really harmful for both sexes to put women on a pedestal like that. Labor is a huge marathon workout experience, and God made us pretty amazing that our bodies are capable of dealing with and recovering from such a protracted, intense experience. As a general rule, the healthier we've gotten, both the easier and shorter the labors have been, and the more capable we've been handling and recovering from those intense experiences. This one was anomalous in the whole scheme of things, and there's a very personal spiritual reason why Belle believes it to have been the case, and why it needed to be this hard, and why we lost the first Melody. And I think we're both better off, more humble, more grateful for it. You attract the experiences in life that you need to grow in the ways you need to grow. It's the whole ask and you shall receive thing in Matthew 7. It's not all you got to do is ask for the stuff you want and it magically happens in your life sort of thing. It's what it's really saying is you receive or find the experiences and things in life that you're asking for or seeking in some way by the way you're living and how in line you are with your Creator. The only doors that open to you are doors in your life that you're knocking on. And that's probably a good place to end this. A big part of our mission in life is having as many children as God is willing to give us, because family is wealth. There's power in numbers, and the future only belongs to those who show up for it. I've done the math. There's 8 of us in the family now, but if we can create a culture of getting married young and averaging 10 children apiece, there could easily be 15,000 of us in less than 100 years from now. And that's not a city, but that's a huge town out of just one family, and that's without even taking the potential for multiple wives into account. This is the most surefire way to affect change that we want to see in the world, and that's...
Mama.
Yeah, Mama had a baby. Baby Melody. Okay, can you say bye? Bye.
Uh-uh.
Okay.